Please welcome the CEO of Mobileye, Ziv Aviram.
Thank you for the introduction. I would like to start with an advertisement of Hyundai, which is our customer, that's showing off with our technology. Let's see it first.
I believe actions speak louder than words. The challenge was to show these caring driver assist features in an exciting way. But you guys, it seems, are pretty hard to excite. Maybe the only way is to put our own lives on the line. Proof through jeopardy. So, here goes.
Okay, we're up to speed. All drivers, turn on ASCC and LKAS, please. Okay, truck approaching. Okay, all drivers prepare for their flights, please. Okay, truck 6.
Let's see what is happening under the hood. What we do driver scene interpretation. When I say driver scene interpretation, it means that we can detect the vehicles in front of us, pedestrians, traffic signs, traffic light, actually understand the driving scene almost in human level. The green area is the free space that the vehicle can be located. And with this capability, we can do from a very basic application, which is lane departure warning, through auto braking before vehicle, the one that you have seen in the presentation, up to auto braking for pedestrian and to semi-autonomous and autonomous driving. And everything is done on this little fellow. This is our chip. It's called IQ. And this is the most sophisticated piece of hardware that ever was introduced in the automotive industry. Our business status is very unique and unprecedented. We work with 90% of the automotive industry. And the penetration is already, as you see, on exponential curve. Actually, toward the end of this year, we are going to celebrate 10 million installations worldwide. Before this presentation, I did some calculation according to statistics that we have. 10 million cars, it's a very small fraction if you compare to 2 billion cars that are already on the roads. But with those 10 million cars that are already using our technology, most probably we saved 2,000 fatalities and over 150,000 injuries. So imagine what is going to happen when the majority of the cars will be installed with this kind of technology. It means that we are going to solve one of the most difficult problems of the modern world, which is car accidents. The statistics about the car accidents are staggering. Today, we have about 1.5 million fatalities every year and close to 50 million injuries. I did some calculation. It's equivalent to 15 years of all the armed conflicts combined. So this is really one of the biggest problems that we were lucky to be in the middle of solving it. And we have two big, let's say, trends today in the industry. One is to reduce the car accidents, and regulation entered there, and this is one evolution of our technology. But in parallel, we are now involved in revolution, which is introducing autonomous driving. And I will talk about autonomous driving a little more. Regulation started in Europe through Euro NCAP in 2014, where they said if you want to have 5 stars rating, you need to apply in the vehicle auto braking before vehicle. And majority of the automakers started to introduce auto braking before vehicle as standard fit. It means when you buy a car, it is going to be part of what you're buying, like airbags. 2016, it was already announced by Euro NCAP that are going to extend the regulation, include auto braking for pedestrian. The Korean and the Japanese followed very similar regulation. United States announced recently that they are going to follow similar regulation in 2018, and the Chinese also around 2018. So the world is going to be regulated and pushing the auto industry to introduce safety-related applications. So the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we know the path. Majority of the cars, new cars, actually more than 90% of the cars will be installed with active safety systems. It still will take a decade to replace all the cars that are already on the road, but it's a beginning. It's a very promising beginning. So this is one very important progress. But as I said, the more exciting part is introduction of the autonomous driving. We at Mobileye came with a philosophy that it's impossible to introduce fully autonomous driving in one step. I think in one step, we as drivers, we're not ready yet. The insurance company is not ready. The regulator is not ready. The automaker is not ready. Our technology is not ready. So we came up with 3 leaps, with phased approach. The first one is the one that I described already, which is safety-related application, and it's already on the way. The second phase is to start to introduce semi-autonomous driving. So the first implementation of semi-autonomous driving, you use a driver, you push a button, the vehicle will keep itself automatically within the lanes, will keep the right distance, will understand the traffic signs and will adjust the speed accordingly, will detect traffic lights and will stop before the traffic lights. And this is not something futuristic. Tesla actually issued the first implementation of our semi-autonomous driving 2 weeks ago. And I want to show you a video clip of a very happy customer.
Okay, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not touching it. No, the car's watching. It sees, oh my gosh, the car knows exactly where the person ahead of me is in the lane.
We like to work with Tesla because they're pushing the envelope faster than other automakers. So the rest of the automakers already kind of closing the gaps, and GM is about to issue something very similar. Audi issued Q7 and A4 a few months ago with very similar applications. So the auto industry started to line up with introduction of semi-autonomous applications, where 13 from 25 automakers that we work with already in different process with us of introducing semi-autonomous application. The next step after the highway will extend the technology to country roads. Country roads are more complex because there's a curving, you see much less, so it will take us additional 1 or 2 years to extend it to country roads. And the next step is going to be to extend it to city roads, to city area. Once we reach the city area, you will start to see, all of us will start to see change in the way that we use transportation. More and more cities will define a circle where private cars will not be allowed to enter anymore. So we will start to see shared mobility in a way that we do not familiar today. Actually, we'll have kind of semi-autonomous taxis with less professional drivers. So you enter to this circle in the smart cities. With the application, you will say that you want to go from A to B. Semi-autonomous robotic car will stop near you and will take you from A to B. So very fast, more and more cities will join to the same trend, and our mobility within the cities will change completely. In order to provide this capability, one system is not enough. What we do today, this is the system. If you glance at the base of the rearview mirror, look carefully, you will see our camera inside. So it's based on one camera. This is the unique technology that we do. We're the only one in the world that's capable with a single camera to do this kind of analysis. But in order to provide the complex solution for city driving, we needed to install 8 cameras around the vehicle. So next year, in the beginning of 2017, we will see first implementation of 8 cameras around the vehicle, which sense 360 degrees and understand the scenes in a level which is much higher and can deal with urban environment. But the third phase is very exciting. In about 2020, first implementation of fully autonomous vehicle will be on the road. And the first implementation is going to be without the passengers and without the driver. And the first kind of use of it can be transportation of goods. So it will be a revolution for transportation of goods. Vehicles will run with the goods and will shift it from A to B. Then the use of the cars will be much more efficient. The utility will be completely different. For example, I will use the car as the family member. It will take me at work. Then it will return back automatically, and other members of the family can use the car. So the car will be used much more than we know today, and the transportation will move to more service rather than transportation that we have today. And 2 or 3 years later, we are going to introduce technology which will take fully autonomously from A to B, include passengers. This is the ultimate goal of providing autonomous driving. And then everyone will feel big change in our life. First of all, we will be close to 0 accidents. The cars will look completely different. Most probably they will be very inexpensive, light. We will sit like in saloon at home. Nobody will sit in front of the steering wheel. The structure of ownership on the car will change. We will not care anymore what kind of brand we are driving in. It will be very similar to cellular phone infrastructure. Today we don't care who is the provider of the cellular phone infrastructure when we talk over the phone. We'll pay by time or kilometers that we use cars. And it's going to spread more than centers of the city. It will spread more and more. And eventually, in 2 decades, we will not be allowed as a drivers to drive anymore. The reason is that we're responsible as a drivers to 93% of car accidents. So the mission of the industry and our mission is to take us as a drivers out of the loop. But in order to provide this capability, the biggest challenge of the industry is to provide road mapping infrastructure. We at Mobileye heavily involved in this, and we are going to come with disruptive technology how to map the roads in a very efficient and inexpensive way. So we'll have kind of prior information how other cars have driven in a specific part of the road. So when our sensors has some kind of ambiguity and they're not clear what is ahead, we will use this prior information how other drivers use the steering wheel, the throttle, the brakes, what exactly they did in this piece of road. So imagine tens of millions of cars providing to us this information. We gather this information, and this is the infrastructure that needed in order to provide fully autonomous driving. Once we reach this phase, I believe that also the business model of the automakers will have to adapt itself. Besides selling cars, they will have also to provide service of the mapping information, and they will have to sell this service because they will have to maintain this information at all times. So the business model of the automakers is going also to have some kind of transformation. We talk with the majority of the automakers, all of them preparing themselves to this phase, and it's going to be very exciting. So the semi-autonomous and autonomous driving is not going to happen as tsunami. It's not going to happen in 1 year. But it's also not so far away. We're talking about 10 years from now that each one of you will see a huge difference in a way that we use transportation. Because a couple of video clips to show you the challenges that we deal with in order to provide features which is semi-autonomous. So the first challenge is how to define the free space in front of the vehicle. In order to provide this green carpet, we use deep learning technology, which is very sophisticated technology. We are the only one in the world that succeeded to put a real product based on deep learning on our small system on chip. There's a lot of talks about deep learning, but we were the first one to do implementation, which is commercial implementation. But once you know the free space, it's not enough. You need to decide where to locate the vehicle within this free space. This is very challenging. We should calculate at all times where the vehicle should go. So we know what is the free space, but still the vehicle can go here and here. And this is the green line, which we call holistic path prediction. The example here is very interesting. There is no lane markings between the two lanes. The shoulders are not clear. It's a very curvy road, so it's a very challenging scenario for computer vision to understand what is happening. I see that you are not excited, so I decided to show you another video clip. Look at this clip. Even us as a human have difficulties to understand what exactly happening in this scene. Snow, and the road is covered partially. This is the first time that our system was exposed to this scenario, and this is the output. So you understand that it's on a human level understanding of the scene. This is a very challenging scene. So this is just a tip of challenges that we deal with in order to promote the world to semi-autonomous and autonomous driving. I was asked also to provide some of our strategy, how we started to work with the automotive industry for the entrepreneurs that's sitting in the room and interested to know how we build our barriers to entry, how we created our strategy that made us the leading supplier, and how we're going to keep this position from our perspective at least for the next decade. One should understand that automotive industry has inherent limitation, and it's a penetration cycle, a very long penetration cycle. It took us close to 8 years until we succeeded to sell for $1. So this is business for marathon runners. But at some point, the disadvantage of the industry becomes one of your biggest advantages. Because once you reach the production development phase or production phase, because of the stability of this market, you can be count that you can remain in this industry for 7 and sometimes up to 10 years with sales. So as you can see, majority of our customers is already in the final stages. Most of them already doing production, some of them doing pre-development for new features, and it's a circle. But we have the privilege to be capable to know what is our revenue close to 10 years ahead. So there's a disadvantage, but at some point, if you overcome this disadvantage, the company can be in a very stable and very solid revenue-wise position. It's very important in the automotive industry where to position yourself in a production chain. We strategically decided that we're going to position ourselves as a tier 2 to this market. So we sell our chip to the big auto part providers, which is tier 1s. They do a system around our chip, and they sell it to the automakers. Why it's so important? Through the tier 1s, we can reach the majority of the automakers. So besides having much bigger business, by working with the majority of the automakers, we could bring the performance of our system to robustness, which is unprecedented. Our performance is close to 99.99% accuracy. And how we reached it? By working with so many automakers, we exposed the system to close to 45 countries. Different weather scenarios, different time of the day, different road scenarios. So when you deal with vision-based systems, it's very important to train the system in as much as possible scenarios. We gathered more than 30 million miles of driven, tested roads. So we train our system on this 30 million kilometers. This is a huge database. Accumulated number of all the cars that are using our system is over 1 billion kilometers already. So as much as possible, exposure of the system to the reality will give you a very robust performance. And this is due to our structure. Another very important element is consolidation. We are the only supplier today in the world that provide all the applications in one unit. It's very difficult to imagine that automaker will put two systems in the vehicle. Let's say we'll do only the upper part of the applications, pedestrian detection and semi-autonomous. So they will have to buy from somebody else the basic application like lane departure warning. They are not going to put two systems in the vehicle, not because of space and not because of cost. So provider or supplier that have the full suite of application has a very strong advantage on the market. So once you are a player in the automotive industry, you take it under consideration that you have to provide a total solution or vertical solution to the car makers in order to have a strong advantage there. But the major kind of strategy that we have is to develop things faster than our competitors at all times. That's why majority of our R&D people work on future applications. And I don't know anything else rather than being better than your competitors. We succeeded from 2007, which was the first year that we presented our system on the road, every year to come up with something which is innovative that nobody else has. And the industry needs this kind of comfort that they bet on a supplier that's capable to keep the pace and even to lead the pace with new technologies and to provide the full suite of applications. And this is our major strategy. Thank you very much.